a possible vehicle connection, and a family still waiting to know what happened to their daughter. This is the story of Asha Degree, the 9-year-old girl who vanished in the middle of the night. On February 14th, 2000, the small community of Shelby, North Carolina, was shaken by the disappearance of a young child. Asha Degree was only 9 years old when she disappeared from her home. The case quickly became one of the area's most mysterious missing child investigations. At first, investigators had a difficult question to answer. Did Asha leave her home by choice? Or did someone else play a role in her disappearance? The evidence created uncertainty. Some details suggested that Asha may have left voluntarily. She had a backpack with her. But other details raised serious questions. A young child walking alone before dawn was unusual. The items later discovered connected to her disappearance created even more mystery. And decades later, the case remains unsolved. To understand what happened, investigators first had to look back at the final day Asha spent with her family. A day that started like any other. A day that would become the last time her family saw her. Before she disappeared, Asha lived with her parents, Aquila and Harold Degree, and her brother, O'Brien. Asha and her brother shared a bedroom. The evening before her disappearance, the family had spent time together as they normally would. On Sunday, February 13th, 2000, Asha and her family attended church. After church, they went to Aunt Alicia's home for lunch. The children also visited with their grandmother. Nothing about the day appeared unusual. Later that evening, the family returned home around 8 p.m. But that night, there was one small change to their normal routine. A car accident caused a power outage in the area. Because there was no electricity, the children did not take their usual baths. Instead, they prepared for bed. Asha and her brother went into their shared bedroom. The family settled down for the night. At the time, nobody knew that this would be the final evening they would ever spend together. The next day was supposed to be special. It was Valentine's Day. It was also the 11th wedding anniversary of Asha's parents, Aquila and Harold. The family expected to wake up to a normal morning, but instead, they would wake up to a nightmare. Asha Degree was missing. A family wakes up to a nightmare. On the morning of February 14th, 2000, Aquila Degree woke up early. Because the children had not taken their baths the night before, she planned to get them ready earlier than usual. But when she went to check on Asha, something was wrong. Asha was not there. At first, the family had to consider every possible explanation. Maybe she had gone somewhere inside the house. Maybe she had gone to visit a relative nearby. Maybe there was another reason she could not be found. Aquila searched the home. She checked the family vehicles. She looked around the property. But Asha was nowhere. She then contacted nearby family members to find out if Asha had gone across the street or to another relative's home. Nobody knew where she was. The realization became more frightening with every passing moment. Asha Degree, a 9-year-old child, was missing. Before 8 a.m., police were contacted and a full search began. What started as a family's desperate search quickly became a major missing child investigation. As investigators began looking into Asha's disappearance, they faced a difficult mystery. Why would a 9-year-old child leave her home during the night? There were no clear answers. Authorities had to understand what happened between the time Asha went to sleep and the moment her family discovered she was gone. Every detail mattered. The timeline, the location, the possible reason she left, and whether someone else was involved. Then investigators learned something that changed the direction of the case. Someone had seen Asha outside. The Highway 18 sighting. The last known sighting of Asha Degree happened during the early morning hours of February 14th, 2000. Between approximately 3:30 and 4:15 a.m., a truck driver and another motorist reported seeing a young girl walking south along Highway 18, north of Shelby, North Carolina. The sighting created one of the most important pieces of information in the investigation. Asha was not found missing somewhere near her home. She had apparently traveled away from it, and she had been seen alone. A child walking along a highway before sunrise was unusual. The conditions made the sighting even more concerning. It was dark, the area was quiet, and Asha was only 9 years old. The moment she disappeared from view, After seeing Asha walking along the road, one motorist turned around to check on her. But when the driver returned, something unexpected happened. According to the report, Asha ran into the woods. That moment became one of the biggest unanswered questions in the case. Why did Asha run? Was she afraid? Was she trying to avoid someone? Or was there another explanation? Investigators could not determine what happened after she entered the woods. The sighting only created more questions, but it also gave authorities an important timeline. Somewhere between 3:30 and 4:15 in the morning, Asha was alive and away from home. After that moment, there were no confirmed sightings of her. The search begins. Following the report that Asha had been seen on Highway 18, police began searching the area. Authorities conducted extensive searches around locations connected to her disappearance. Investigators looked for any clue that could explain where Asha went. Then, during those early searches, they discovered something important. Items belonging to Asha were found inside a tool shed behind Debbie Turner's upholstery shop. The location was approximately 1 mile north of Asha's home. This discovery created another mystery. How did Asha's belongings end up there? Had she been in that location? Had someone moved the items? Or was there another explanation? At this stage of the investigation, every piece of evidence created more questions than answers. The case becomes more mysterious. The disappearance of Asha Degree was already unusual. A young girl had vanished from her home. Witnesses had reported seeing her walking alone before dawn. Her belongings were found away from her house. But the investigation would become even more complicated. More than a year later, another discovery would bring new evidence into the case. A discovery that would raise even more questions about what happened to Asha Degree. A buried backpack. The mystery of the backpack. A discovery more than a year later. For more than a year after Asha Degree disappeared, investigators continued searching for answers. The case remained unsolved. The questions surrounding her disappearance had not been answered. What caused a 9-year-old girl to leave her home during the early morning hours? Where did she go after she was seen walking along Highway 18? And what happened after she disappeared into the woods? Then on August 3, 2001, a new discovery brought the investigation back into focus. A construction contractor found something buried at a work site. It was Asha Degree's backpack. The discovery came more than a year after she vanished. And inside that backpack were items that created even more questions. The contents of the backpack. Investigators examined the contents of Asha's backpack. Inside, they found a children's book that belonged to the library of Asha's school. They also found a New Kids on the Block t-shirt. But there was one important detail. The shirt did not belong to Asha. This discovery added another layer of mystery to the investigation. Why was an unknown shirt inside Asha's backpack? How did it get there? And was another person connected to the items found with her belongings? The backpack did not provide a simple answer. Instead, it created more questions that investigators would continue trying to solve. What the evidence suggested. The discovery of the backpack forced investigators to look deeper into the events surrounding Asha's disappearance. The evidence showed that Asha had left behind belongings connected to her. But the unknown item inside the backpack raised the possibility that someone else may have been involved. Investigators had to consider different explanations. Was Asha alone when she left home? Did she meet someone afterward? Or was there another reason for the circumstances surrounding her disappearance? At this point, the case remained filled with uncertainty. Theories about what happened to Asha. Over the years, several possibilities have been discussed regarding Asha Degree's disappearance. One possibility was that Asha may have been abducted. Another possibility was that she may have been influenced or groomed by someone she knew. Some people also believed she may have left home by choice. However, authorities believed Asha did not fit the typical profile of a runaway. Although she carried a backpack, investigators noted that many details of the case were unusual. A child leaving home alone in the middle of the night was difficult to explain, and the evidence found after her disappearance did not provide a clear conclusion. The search for answers continues. As investigators continued working on the case, one question remained at the center of everything. What happened to Asha Degree after she was seen walking along Highway 18? The highway sighting became one of the most important moments in the timeline. The backpack became one of the most important pieces of evidence. But neither one provided the final answer. The case remained open, and investigators continued looking for information that could explain what happened during those early morning hours. A new lead, the vehicle of interest. Years after Asha disappeared, investigators developed another important lead. Authorities began looking for information connected to a possible vehicle involved in the case. The vehicle was described as an early 1970s Lincoln Mark IV, or possibly a Ford Thunderbird. It was described as having a dark green appearance with rust around the wheel wells. The FBI requested information from the public about this vehicle. According to Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman, the vehicle was considered a vehicle of interest. Authorities stated that it had been occupied 2 times on the day of Asha's disappearance. This information created another important question. Could this vehicle be connected to what happened to Asha? At the time, there was no confirmed answer. But the vehicle became one of the significant investigative leads in the case. Decades of questions. As the years passed, Asha Degree's disappearance remained one of the most mysterious missing child cases. The investigation had produced important clues. A child seen walking alone before sunrise. Items found near her home. A buried backpack. An unknown shirt. A possible vehicle connection. But the central mystery remained. Where did Asha Degree go? And who, if anyone, knows what happened after that night? For years, the case remained unresolved. Then, decades later, a new investigation would bring renewed attention to Asha's disappearance. The FBI returns. A new search in 2024. A case that never disappeared. For more than 2 decades, the disappearance of Asha Degree remained unsolved. The questions that began in 2000 were still unanswered. Why did Asha leave her home that night? Why was she seen walking alone along Highway 18? What happened after she entered the woods? And who, if anyone, had information about her disappearance? Even after many years, investigators continued looking for answers. Then, in 2024, the case received renewed attention. A new search brought investigators back into the spotlight. The Cherryville Road Search. In 2024, Cleveland County became the center of a major law enforcement operation. The FBI and other authorities conducted a search on a property located on Cherryville Road near Spake Circle. The scale of the operation drew public attention. Approximately 50 to 60 investigators were involved. Authorities used search teams, dogs, all-terrain vehicles. At first, officials did not confirm whether the search was connected to Asha Degree's disappearance. But then investigators made a discovery that connected the operation to the decades-old case. The vehicle connection returns. During the search, authorities were seen towing away a vehicle. The vehicle appeared similar to the type investigators had been looking for years. It resembled a 1970s Lincoln Continental or Ford Thunderbird. The vehicle description was connected to one of the major leads in Asha's disappearance. For many following the case, this moment raised new questions. Was this vehicle connected to the investigation? Could it provide information about what happened to Asha? The search created renewed hope that new evidence might finally help explain the mystery. Official confirmation. On Friday, September 13th, 2024, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office confirmed that the search warrants carried out on the Cherryville Road property were connected to the disappearance of Asha Degree. The confirmation marked a major development. After years of uncertainty, investigators were actively following a new lead. However, authorities also made clear that the search did not immediately solve the case. Officials confirmed that no human remains were found during the search, but they did remove multiple items of interest from the property. Those items were taken for further analysis. The property owner. The property connected to the search was associated with Roy Lee Dedman. After the investigation became public, Dedman came forward and stated that he had no involvement in what happened to Asha Degree. The transcript does not establish any confirmed involvement by Dedman. The search simply represented an investigative step as authorities continued following information connected to the case. The current state of the investigation. The 2024 search became one of the biggest developments in the Asha Degree investigation in years. It showed that even after decades, investigators were still actively pursuing answers. The case had never been forgotten. The evidence collected over the years continued to guide investigators. The highway sighting, the belongings found near her home, the buried backpack, the unknown shirt, the vehicle of interest, the 2024 search activity. Each piece added another part to the mystery, but none had provided the final answer. The unanswered questions. Today, Asha Degree remains missing. The investigation remains open. The most important questions are still unanswered. Why did Asha leave her home during the early morning hours? Was she acting alone, or did someone influence her decision? What happened after witnesses saw her walking along Highway 18? Who was connected to the vehicle investigators identified as a vehicle of interest? And where is Asha Degree? Conclusion. A family still searching for answers. The disappearance of Asha Degree is a story that began with an ordinary family evening. A child went asleep. A family expected to wake up the next morning. But instead, they faced a mystery that would last for decades. Asha's case remains remembered because of the unusual circumstances surrounding her disappearance. A 9-year-old girl, a dark highway, a backpack filled with unanswered questions, and a family still waiting for answers. The investigation has continued through changing years, new evidence, and renewed searches. The 2024 FBI investigation showed that the search for Asha was not over. Her disappearance remains unsolved. But investigators continue looking for information that may finally explain what happened on that February night in 2000. The question remains, what happened to Asha Degree? And can the answers finally be found?